By midnight on the 2nd of every month, trucks under armed guard arrive at designated post offices throughout the United States. Their cargo, $1 billion in checks to be delivered to some 15 million people. Checks for men, women, and children of all ages. If your name is not already on one of these checks, chances are that sooner or later it will be. Your name or names of one or more of your dependents. For nearly everyone has a stake in the system, a system that dates back to that time many of us still remember. Out of this laboratory of despair, hunger, economic paralysis, came the system we call Social Security. It started with a bill passed by Congress in 1935, and it became law a few days later when the bill was signed by the President of the United States. Various other measures through the years have expanded and amended it, so that today it affects almost every American family. This, then, is a report on this huge undertaking of a nation in transition. It is the story of what happened before the day Social Security started, and the story of what happens before the day your Social Security check will arrive at your door. Even 100 years ago, when 4 out of 5 Americans lived in farm communities, old age had its problems. But there were traditional chores for the old. Jobs that took time and had to be done. And there was room. Then came the great migration to the city. In a world of stepped-up tempos, what place for the old? In an industrialized world, what was there they could do? In a world of small flats, what room? In a world of competition, how long could they keep up? More and more, the aged stood outside the economy, especially during business recessions. Ironically, science, prolonger of life, has added dimension to their problems. The old live on in ever-growing numbers, an increasing legion of the old, increasingly pushed to the sidelines, more and more of them unable to find employment. How could an income be provided for the aged for whom there was no longer any work? Congress thought part of the answer was old age benefits. In 1937, the federal government began to collect from workers and their employers taxes to pay for old age benefits. The money collected to be held in trust by the government. Payments to be made to the worker when he retired, the amount based on his earnings. In 1940, the monthly retirement checks were put into the mail for the first time. Many who received those first checks are still getting them.
You know, I could probably chew your ears off for hours on the problem of aging and what I think of Social Security. But until you've been up against it and have learned what it really means to make every penny count, you'll never be able to appreciate it. Social Security, it's no fortune, but it sure helps.
the same time that retirement benefits started, Social Security provided against another kind of disaster, the death of the breadwinner. If a widow could not keep the family together, what was to become of the children? Were they to be allowed to roam the streets? To be scattered among relatives? Sent to an institution? Congress felt that with a regular income, a widowed mother might be able to hold her family together. In 1939, the Social Security law was changed. Now monthly payments would be made to dependent widows in old age and to children under 18 and their mothers. And with each passing year, more people had worked long enough to make payments possible for themselves and their families. The 1950s saw still another kind of protection added to the old age and survivors insurance program. Protection for the disabled. The disabled, like the old, are growing in numbers. Because of scientific progress, injuries and diseases that used to kill are now followed by partial recovery. The sulfate drugs, the antibiotics, and the other milestones of medical progress, although they help many, they do not diminish the legion of the living disabled. Under state laws, people injured at work have long received some help through workmen's compensation. But what of those who have worked but were injured under other circumstances? What was to become of them? What were they to do? In 1956, Social Security taxes were increased by a fraction of 1% to provide, along with the other protections, disability insurance. Keep in mind, the old age, survivors, and disability benefits paid under Social Security are social insurance made possible by Social Security taxes paid over the years, by you if you are self-employed, or by you and your employer if you work for someone else. Of course, insurance based on employment cannot solve all the problems of need. For the needy who are not qualified for old age, survivors, or disability benefits, or who require supplemental aid, public assistance is still needed and will continue to be. For the needy child, the neglected child, the crippled child, special help is needed. For mothers in time of family stress or emergency, special help may be needed that children may grow up with a chance of a fruitful life. But for most of us, the times of special crisis are now cushioned. The retirement of the family breadwinner or his death or disability cause problems in any family. But now, we Americans can face the future with greater confidence because we know that long before the day of need occurs, we have helped to build a system that works. We have spread the risks over the national family instead of the individual family. And we have done it through Social Security.